Last episode we asked ourselves, what would it be like to have a logging empire in RimWorld? And we got a little bit of a taste of that. But in today's episode, we will get the full experience. I'd be lying to you if I said that this episode wasn't just the tiniest bit messy, trying to balance how many animals we have, how much food we have, and making sure we're selling enough logs. Luckily though, we're experiencing no issues with finding people to cut down the trees, as we keep having unaccompanied miners who need help. So we have someone named Ernesto, who is an unknown threat following them, and offered to join us here in safety. So we allowed the little tyke to join us as long as he cut down plenty of trees. He was a Neanderthal, but that was okay because we quickly put his stubby little child fingers to work. And lucky for us, there's no Department of Labor in Western/Victorian or whatever era that we're in, so we should be fine. And by this point, we had done enough trading with the Brits that instead of us coming to them, they were actually sending some trading parties back for our wonderful high-quality timber. We also found out that the threat following poor little Ernesto was some man-hunting rabbits. It's nothing that we couldn't deal with, but we decided to hide inside our logging camp and let the Brits deal with him for us. It's the least that they could do. Unfortunately, word had spread to unwanted tribes as well as scurvy pirates that we had a really kick-ass logging company going on here, so naturally we continued to get raided, but luckily this goes about as well for them as you would expect. Sometime later though, after we pulled all the arrows out of our organs, our shins, our groins, all that good stuff, we were all sitting around playing some horseshoes. And now that everyone was feeling better, it's time to get back to business. We sent out a caravan with all our animals and whatnot, with just shy of 2,000 wood to sell to the Brits. Good old Happy Oak started stuffing all the yaks with as much timber as he could in every single crevice, and I mean every single crevice. Would this wood bring in millions of dollars? No, but it would bring in a pretty penny. And, we didn't get into logging for the money. We did. In the meantime, though, Burge had a brilliant idea. He thought to himself, I'll build a bank to keep all this silver that's just lying around in. This way, if anyone wanted to head over to maybe, say, the French settlement and buy some stinky cheese to eat or something, they'd have to ask Burge for his pretty pennies he's been earning. We ended up having someone named Kibby, who was running from an unknown threat, offer to join us here at the logging settlement if we would protect them from the threat. Naturally, we accepted, and I'm glad that we did because the threat was nothing but a smoke spewer. We were very grateful to have Kibby as well because she was wonderful at cutting down trees for us to sell, which is perfect because that's, kind of the whole point of this. Our logging crews cut those trees day in and day out until their little arms just couldn't take it anymore and they had to come back the next day. Things were unfortunately not always hunky-dory though, as we were always getting the occasional tribal or pirate raid, and in this case it was a bunch of scurvy, filthy pirates. I would be lying if I said that these pirates were not much more difficult than the tribes that we had been battling. I mean, for God's sake, they had flintlock weaponry. That's basically God-tier weaponry. Anyhow, though, we couldn't let them take our timber. We just couldn't. But unfortunately, though, it seemed no matter how many scurvy pirates or filthy inbred thrumbo people we put down, two more always arrived in their place to try and steal our timber. But luck had been on our side so far because we had always prevailed in battle against the attackers. Cause there ain't nothing that's gonna stop this wood wagon baby. We're about to make some moolah. Naturally, we loaded up another massive caravan of timber to sell to our happy customers. Unfortunately, some time later though, a massive group of scurvy pirates who were trying to hunt down our caravan followed us back to our logging settlement. This battle would actually be a game changer, and unfortunately, we would experience our very first casualty. Poor Larry Sapling was murdered by a filthy, scurvy pirate. But we had no time to think, only to react as the battle was still raging. Happy Oak cried out in pain as the boy who was so close to him, almost like a son, died. Happy Oak scooped up the young boy off the cold, icy ground and carried him to his final resting place, where he would be mourned by everyone. Jesus Christ, that got dark. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the logs. We ended up enslaving one of those pirates to force to go on our trade caravans in case we needed any logs hauled or any shit scraped off our boots. If our filthy pirate slave is lucky enough, maybe he'll even get to give his life for the Stardust Logging Company. That is honestly the highest achievement that he'll ever be able to give. Birch ended up realizing that his loggers were getting a little fizzled out and they were a little tired of playing horseshoes in the snow, so he built them a beautiful little tavern with a wonderful poker table and some nice wine racks. If all else fails, Kibby seemed to enjoy playing poker by herself, so that's a win. Happy Oak also found some wonderful gold ore in the side of the mountain that we could add to our riches in our bank. Our small fortune, as well as all of our timber, have really put us on the map. We were becoming a bit of a bustling town, so we decided to build some wonderful street lights so we can see. It's worth noting as well that hauling all of this timber comes with a lot of cost, like trying to feed all of these animals. We're getting ready to have to make a massive growing area to try and feed them throughout winter. I can't tell you how many times I've had to buy hay off the Brits or the French. We had just over 5,000 some logs lying in our warehouse, and even with as many animals as we have, we still can't haul it all at once. Realistically, the only issue is time, though. All of our animals have been breeding a lot, but the children take forever to grow up, and when they're children, they really can't haul much. But we are still getting paid quite a bit of silver. And once again, word of our silver has traveled to the wrong ears. We have more scurvy pirates coming to try and kill us. However, there was quite the fatal flaw in the pirates' plan, as they were not expecting a massive bulk goods trader to be right there in their way. So the bulk goods trader kind of worked as cannon fodder while we all stayed comfy in our homes. And in the end, the worst thing that happened is they lit our hay grass on fire. Well, I guess technically the worst thing that happened is all the traders pretty well died. But, I mean, they died for our quality timber, and that's something worth dying for. We wouldn't let anything stand between us and that sweet, sweet dough, baby. We sent out a trade caravan to the French. We're expanding our empire. We're not only trading with the Brits anymore, we're trading with the Prussians, the French, basically anyone who's buying. And I must say, one look into the official Stardust Logging Company bank shows just how rich we're becoming. Unfortunately, though, the good does not come without the bad. Cedar and Ernesto Leaf got into a drunken brawl in the kitchen, and unfortunately, Cedar ended Ernesto Leaf's life. Yes, the child that we had seen grow up and he had defended our camp many a time, defended our timber, was killed by Cedar. I wish I could tell you that we executed Cedar for this, but unfortunately we don't know who started the fight or what over, other than what Cedar says, and the logging business is a dog-eat-dog world. This is common practice. We would, of course, give Ernesto Leaf a proper logger's burial out in the forest. He would actually be buried to his friend Larry Sapling. The two grew up together, and unfortunately, both have perished. Sometime later, we discovered a logging work site not too far from our logging empire. This tribe of quote-unquote loggers were about to meet their match. It's time we give them a taste of their own medicine. Nobody logs in our territory without our permission. We all gathered up on our yaks and our bison, and we began trotting off towards this pitiful little logging camp, a little shabby makeshift dog shit logging camp. Okay, maybe that's a little harsh. It looks like a pretty decent place, but we're going to have to slaughter everyone. I'm sorry. We found their shabby little wood storage areas, took all their wood, and we went back home. After returning home, we did what we do best. We wiped the blood off our axes and began chopping down some trees. Collectively, we had almost achieved our dreams. We were finally a logging empire with a fortune of our own. We were all cutting down trees and hauling back the lumber in unison to sell to the other colonies. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying by any means that this life is easy or for everyone. This is an extremely tedious process in RimWorld to do, and it takes forever, and most of the time it's a bit boring. But it's also very fun, and it's really cool that we have finally achieved an empire. Whether it be a small empire, but an empire. And I apologize, maybe you wanted an empire with hundreds of people and thousands of animals to carry all these logs, because it would literally take hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, to do a massive empire. And I apologize, that would take forever and it would be too boring. So this is the empire that we're working with. To clear out the massive amounts of logs that we currently have in storage, we decided to do quite a bit of trading with the Prussians just to the northeast of us. Our empire has essentially become the timber hub of this desolate RimWorld. Everyone is buying their timber from us. If you see a British, French, Prussian home built with timber, we sold it to them. Or if you see any tribes building any nice tents or huts or even homes as well out of timber, guess what? We sold it to them. But we have finally achieved a logging empire in RimWorld. It was a fantastic ride, and thank you all for joining me on it. I had a lot of fun. I know it doesn't look like we're millionaires, and you know, in episode 1 I kind of said that we wanted to be millionaires, but let's take into consideration this is probably taking place in, like, I don't know, 15 to 1700s or something like that. So when you take into account the amount that we have and take into account inflation with that, we're a little over probably like $1 million to $2 million. So technically, in today's money, we are millionaires, even though I'm probably going by US dollars here and silver in RimWorld. You know, the two probably don't correlate. But thank you guys ever so much for watching. I have had a wonderful time playing this little mini-series challenge. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section down below. If you have any ideas for anything else like this, I would surely appreciate it. And yeah, you guys are totally awesome. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.